Palestin, dan yang pastinya kita punya kegusaran berkenaan dengan keadaan di Palestin yang ada sekarang. Alhamdulillah, kita telah pun selesai mesyuarat Menteri-Menteri Luar ASEAN yang ke-58. Ini adalah merupakan mesyuarat yang perlu kita lakukan untuk memulakan gerak kerja bagi persiapan mesyuarat sidang pemuncak ASEAN ke-47 yang akan diadakan pada 26 sampai 28 Oktober nanti. Jadi hasil daripada mesyuarat ini akan dibawa dan dikemukakan ke mesyuarat ketua-ketua negara pada bulan Oktober nanti. So, overview of the Foreign Ministers meeting over the past few days. We had 21 meetings involving ASEAN and its external partners, and the 4th Ministerial Conference and Cooperation among East Asian countries for Palestinian Development (CPAC).
Separately, I had 15 bilateral meetings with my counterparts from Algeria, from Australia, Bangladesh, Brunei Darussalam, Canada, China, Japan, New Zealand, Palestine, the Philippines, Switzerland, Turkey, United Kingdom, United States, and Uruguay. During all these meetings, we discussed strengthening bilateral relations and international issues of common concern. Dalam mesyuarat-mesyuarat itu banyak isu-isu yang kami bincangkan, terutamanya situasi di Myanmar. During the discussion on Myanmar, ASEAN ministers urgently call on all parties in Myanmar, in particular the SAC, to cease hostilities and violence, observe and respect ceasefires, as well as ensure unimpeded humanitarian access. This is in line with the decision of the 46th summit in May. The ministers continued to express support for the efforts of the Special Envoy for ASEAN Chair on Myanmar, Tan Sri Osman Hashim, in facilitating a peaceful resolution to the crisis. We also emphasized the importance of continuity in ASEAN approach to address the crisis. Malaysia expressed concern that the implementation of 5-point consensus on the ground is still lacking. We call on stakeholders to undertake concrete action in this regard. Out of the 5 points, 3 points fall on the stakeholders to implement. They are cessation of hostilities and violence. Number 2, inclusive dialogue involving all parties concerned. And number 3, humanitarian assistance to the people of Myanmar. The rest, the other 2, is on our part. That is appointment of the special envoy. And the last one is the fifth. The assistant by all parties and the Secretary General assistant on this situation in Myanmar. Malaysia has consistently called on the SAC as the de facto party in power to show leadership and sincerity in committing towards peace and create a conducive environment for inclusive political dialogue. On the planned elections, Malaysia's position remains clear and consistent. I have said before that peace is the priority. This means pursuing inclusive dialogue. I have also said before the election must be inclusive, free, fair, and transparent. They said they want to have an election. They can have election if it is inclusive and fair to everybody. But if it's a partial election, I don't think that is a good idea to have an election, early election this year. During the AMM retreat, I stressed to the Myanmar delegation that elections have to be inclusive. Everybody, all political parties, all stakeholders have to be able to participate. There is no point in having an election if it is not inclusive. I also stated that peace and cessation of hostilities must be a priority before elections. Any election held without prior inclusive dialogue and political agreement with all Myanmar stakeholders are likely to worsen the conflict and will not be seen as credible or legitimate. A lot of discussion on South China Sea. Malaysia underscored the importance of dialogue and diplomacy to preserve the South China Sea as the sea of peace, stability, and trade. Malaysia's position has always been consistent and clear. All disputes relating to the South China Sea must be resolved in accordance with universally recognized principles of international law, including the 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or known as UNCLOS. We emphasize that need for the full and effective implementation of the 2002 Declaration on the Conduct of Parties, DOC. Malaysia is encouraged by the progress in the negotiation of the draft Code of Conduct in South China Sea and will continue supporting efforts towards its early conclusion. On SHONFEST, or Southeast Asia Nuclear Weapon Free Zone Treaty, ASEAN foreign ministers expressed concern over the global security environment characterized by the development of new nuclear weapons, advancement of nuclear weapon system, and rise in nuclear weapons rhetoric. That makes it more imperative for the nuclear weapon state to sign and ratify the protocol to the SHONFEST Treaty. We welcome China's readiness to sign and ratify the SHONFEST protocol without reservations and the renewed interest by some nuclear weapon states to sign and ratify the protocol. ASEAN is resuming substantive discussion with the countries concerned on outstanding issues concerning the protocol. There are more positive developments. Timor-Leste is scheduled to accede to the SHONFEST Treaty in October this year at the 47th ASEAN Summit and related summit. This will expand the geographical scope of the treaty and strengthen security in Southeast Asia. On Gaza, there's a lot of every session we have Gaza, we have Myanmar, we have South China Sea. On Gaza, ASEAN foreign ministers expressed deep concern over the continued tensions in the Middle East. On Gaza, there were calls for immediate and permanent ceasefire, unhindered humanitarian access, and accountability for violence of international law. Malaysia condemned Israel's open genocide in Gaza, including mass starvation of children and babies, which is incomprehensible. Malaysia called for Israel to be held accountable for the countless violation of international law. On Israel aggression against Iran, the ministers welcomed the ceasefire between Iran and Israel and urged that it be maintained. Malaysia called for the international community to consistently uphold the integrity of international laws or risk losing credibility. On Treaty of Amity and Cooperation in Southeast Asia, or TAC, the ministers reaffirmed the role of the TAC as a key instrument governing interstate relations in Southeast Asia and promoting regional peace and stability. On July 9, 2025, Algeria and Uruguay officially acceded to the TAC, marking the formal commitment to the principle of peaceful cooperation and regional harmony enshrined in the treaty. As of now, 57 countries have become parties of the TAC. On Timor-Leste's admission to ASEAN, following the decision of the 46th ASEAN Summit to admit Timor-Leste as 11 members of ASEAN by the 47th ASEAN Summit, the ASEAN foreign ministers took note that work on the protocol on procedural steps are underway. The AMM also adopted the guidelines to facilitate Timor-Leste's accession to ASEAN legal instrument under the purview of the AMM. The AMM encouraged Timor-Leste to take action to accede to the relevant legal instruments as soon as possible. On geopolitical and geoeconomic developments, ASEAN foreign ministers urged major powers to manage their differences in a constructive and responsible manner including through ASEAN-led mechanisms such as ASEAN Outlook on the Indo-Pacific, or AOIP. To ensure that the region remains peaceful, stable, and prosperous, we underscored the importance of dialogue and cooperation through ASEAN platforms with focus on commonalities rather than differences. The AMM heard a briefing by the ASEAN Geo-Economic Task Force on the subject ASEAN Economic Outlook in the fragmented global economy. We have decided also during the 47th summit in October, prior to that, we have foreign ministers meeting, we're going to rope in, or we're going to invite the Minister of Economic or Investment of respective countries so that we can put our work together. Because politics and economy now go in tandem, hand in hand, so we cannot separate both of them, because a lot of things that we have agreed but not been translated into actions. Decision and outcome documents, greater AMM-AEM coordination, that's what I said just now, as proposed by Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim in his opening address during the opening ceremony. This meeting on 9 July, the AMM agreed to strengthen coordination between the ASEAN foreign ministers and economic ministers, including following up on the recommendation presented by the AGTF. With regard to application to accede to the TAC, the AMM reached decision on the following: approved the application of Cyprus, Italy, and Sweden, and agreed on ASEAN Secretariat to prepare assessment for the applications of Belgium, Croatia, and Lithuania for the consideration of ASEAN member states. Outcome document of the AMM, the ASEAN +1 dialogue partners. The outcome joint communique of the 58th AMM have been issued. The AMM adopted the ASEAN Foreign Ministers' decision on enhancing ASEAN relations with external parties as a strategic effort to expand and strengthen ASEAN global outreach aligned with the ASEAN Community Vision 2045. With India and Republic of Korea, we adopted new plans of action 2026-2030 for India and the ROK respectively. This plan of actions will guide both dialogue partners in further strengthening their partnership with ASEAN over the next 5 years. We agreed on the 2030 ASEAN-China Plan on Action, which will chart the way for greater and more robust cooperation between ASEAN and China in the next 5 years. With New Zealand, we endorsed the draft ASEAN-New Zealand Leaders Joint Vision Statement on the 50th anniversary of ASEAN-New Zealand dialogue relations. This draft document is scheduled to be adopted by the leaders at the ASEAN-New Zealand 50th Commemorative Summit in October. With Australia, we adopted a joint statement on Australia and ASEAN shared future, which marks the first joint statement between ASEAN and a dialogue partner on the ASEAN Community Vision 2045. CIPAT, this is the fourth CIPAT meeting just now. After concluding the 58th AMM and series of meetings with ASEAN dialogue partners, I co-chaired the fourth Ministerial Conference on Cooperation among East ASEAN countries, or CIPAT, for Palestinian development, together with my counterparts, Excellency Takashi Iwaya, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Japan, and Excellencies Dr. Stefan Salame, the Minister of Planning and International Cooperation of Palestine, who attended the conference as a special guest. We reaffirmed our strong support for Palestinians' right to self-determination amid the dire humanitarian and human rights situation in the occupied Palestinian territory, particularly Gaza, with the adoption of Kuala Lumpur Action Plan 2025. Through the Kuala Lumpur Action Plan, collective regional assistance will be galvanized to urgently address Palestinians' needs. The action plan will guide members of the CIPAT to assisting Palestine in areas, among others, humanitarian aid, reconstruction, and state building through capacity building and technical cooperation. I reaffirm Malaysia's long-standing principled position on Palestine rights to self-determination through the swift establishment of the sovereign state of Palestine, based on pre-1967 borders with East Jerusalem as its capital. I call upon the remaining 46 states that have yet to recognize the state of Palestine to do so without any preconditions and to support Palestinians' admission as a full member of the United Nations without any further delay. Malaysia is committed to assist Palestine through targeted assistance, focusing on humanitarian aid, reconstruction and state building as well as youth development. Malaysia's technical assistance and capacity building for Palestine will primarily be undertaken through the Malaysian Technical Cooperation Programme, or MTCP. At the meeting just now, I announced Malaysia's contribution of another $1 million to be channeled to UNRWA and to the Palestinian Red Crescent. This is in addition to the USD 16 million that have been already channeled to the Palestinian people since September 2023. In conclusion, as chair of ASEAN, Malaysia will continue to play an active role in fostering ASEAN's consensus on issues on common concern. The presence of ASEAN dialogue partners and external partners at this year's meeting underscores ASEAN's standing as a convening power capable of bringing major regional and global players to the same table. ASEAN remains firm in its pursuit of the 2 decades ASEAN Community Vision 2045, endorsed by leaders at the 46th ASEAN Summit, which aspires to build a resilient, innovative, dynamic, and people-centered region. Throughout Malaysia's ASEAN Chairmanship this year, we will maintain this positive momentum and ensure that ASEAN's voice continues to be heard prominently on the international stage, leveraging on ASEAN's growing importance and our strong convening power. Malaysia will also continue working closely with fellow ASEAN member states to position ASEAN as a key bloc within the global political and economic architecture, leveraging the strengths of each of its members. Thank you. Sekianlah adanya mesyuarat ASEAN selama 3 hari. Soalan? Ini ada yang depan dia. Apa nak tanya? Tak dong ah.
Assalamualaikum Datuk Seri. Hanis yang bernama. Datuk Seri, I have 2 questions. As the 58mm draws to a close, how would you assess the outcomes of Malaysia's ASEAN Chairmanship so far, particularly in terms of balancing strategic relation with major powers like the US and China? And my second question is, yesterday, I think in one of your speech, you mentioned that Malaysia is finalizing new regulation to curb illegal ship-to-ship transfers in our waters. Could you elaborate on what this regulation entail and how will they strengthen our maritime enforcement regime? Thank you.
Soalan pertama tadi, macam mana kita punya relationship dengan?
Balancing the strategic relation with major powers like the US and China.
Kita Barisan Nasional, kita ada dacing, we balance. We used to that, we balance it properly. We're very well balanced. Well, we are a trading nation, our economy based on trade, and we can't afford to be seen as leaning towards anybody. US still the biggest or the largest investors in our country, China being our biggest or largest trading partner for the last how many years. So we have to navigate our foreign policy, even for that matter, ASEAN foreign policy, so as to not to be seen as we are leaning towards anybody. So we are ZOFAN, we are zone of peace and neutrality. So we're neutral, we're being neutral. So we balance it properly. So that answer how we balance it, yeah. And then just now you are saying about this what? Ship to ship. Ship to ship ni jadi isu duri dalam daging kerana kita selalu dituduh oleh pihak-pihak tertentu kita mengamalkan apa orang kata ship to ship transfer minyak. Orang tuduh kita di kawasan ni kawasan yang banyak orang yang kata dia punya, kita punya kawasan-kawasan kita. So now we're going to enforce it. Kalau dulu kita enforce banyak orang marah. So now that kita kena enforce lah. Siapa yang buat benda tu kalau kita dapat tangkap, kita akan fine ataupun kita akan tahan kapal-kapal tersebut. Jadi kita tidak mahu lagi dituduh sebagai negara yang facilitate ship to ship transfer punya activities. So kadang-kadang tu dia susah. Kita minta koordinat yang betul, dia bagi tapi koordinat tu bukan dalam negara kita. So kita akan jaga. Kita akan kawal kawasan kita supaya tuduhan-tuduhan mengatakan kita mengadakan ataupun memberi kemudahan untuk adanya kegiatan pemindahan minyak dari kapal ke kapal itu dapat kita cegah, dan jika didapati ada kegiatan tersebut, kita akan tahan kapal dan kita akan tangkaplah sesiapa saja yang melakukan kesalahan. Ya.
Next.
Soon. Julai ini kita akan enforce because dah kita dapat keputusan daripada kabinet untuk kita lakukan ataupun untuk kita kuat-kuasakan. Ya. Banyak orang akan marah, tapi we are not in business untuk kita dituduh ataupun diberi tuduhan sebagai memberi kemudahan kegiatan yang menyalahi orang kata ada sanction dan macam-macam. Okay?
Datuk Sri, sini Datuk Sri.
Sila bangun.
Firdaus Azil daripada AC1E. Datuk Sri, 21
dari mana?
Daripada AC1E.
AC1E.
21 meeting antara ASEAN dengan rakan dialog, 15 meeting daripada Datuk Sri dengan negara-negara lain, dan juga saya difahamkan ada banyak bilateral meeting, trilateral meeting yang sampai pukul 1-2 pagi, staff KLN pun overwhelmed. Datuk Sri, adakah ini satu signal terhadap ASEAN yang mana mungkin mereka melihat ASEAN sebagai satu platform yang trusted, dipercayai, ataupun adakah ini bukan pada pandangan Datuk Sri kepercayaan signal terhadap kepimpinan Malaysia dalam kepengurusan ASEAN?
Saudara cakap tu ada kebenarannya, tapi inilah dia ASEAN. Ya. ASEAN seperti saya katakan tadi sudah mendapat kepercayaan kuasa-kuasa besar, yang mana kita merupakan suatu rantau ataupun blok yang disegani sebagai rantau yang aman dan rantau yang mempunyai pertumbuhan ekonomi yang amat baik. Banyak negara-negara seperti yang saya sebutkan tadi beratur nak menunggu nak sign Treaty of Amity ataupun TAC, itu sebagai langkah pertama untuk mereka untuk menjadi rakan kepada ASEAN. So jadi memang banyak meeting tu, sebab jangan soal banyak, saya letih ni. Jadi asasnya sekarang ni, daripada dulu kita 5 buah negara, sekarang dah jadi 10, dan bulan 10 nanti akan jadi 11 buah negara. Nak menjadi rakan dialog ni lagi ramai. Yang menunggu sebagai sectoral dialogue partners ni pun ramai. Dia ni akan jadi sectoral dialogue partners first, dan masuk sebagai dialogue partners. So menunggulah ni, macam ambil nombor. Tapi kita pula perlu ada, sekarang ni ASEAN kita ada dipanggil sebagai moratorium, ya, yang dikenakan untuk kita tidak mengambil rakan-rakan baru sebagai rakan dialog kita. Tetapi ada 1-2 yang perlu dipertimbangkan, yang mana kalau kita terima dia menjadi rakan dialog, dia akan memberi banyak tambah nilai kepada ASEAN. Jadi kita tidak semestinya apa kita katakan itu rigid sangat dalam kita punya moratorium, tapi kita lihat keperluan dan juga apa tambah nilai yang negara tersebut boleh bawa kepada ASEAN, insyaAllah. Yes.
Next question. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Ya, ya.
Mike, next Mike. Chin.
Hello. Good evening, Datuk Sri.
Yeah.
Joseph Sipalan from the South China Morning Post. I have a question about the ASEAN-US summit meeting that you had yesterday. Could we get some details on what was discussed? Did the US provide ASEAN members with a list of expectations from ASEAN, or maybe a baseline on how to approach tariffs and future cooperation? Thank you.
We don't work that way because we don't provide lists, wish list, and we give it to the US. So, but we have in everybody country's remark, we mention that whatever that this is peculiar towards a country. Yeah. So, but basically we mentioned that US still the biggest investors in this region, cumulatively as the biggest investor. So we want to balance up, as what our friend asked just now. We balance it up, and on individual basis, like a bilateral, because I'm sure that Secretary Rubio have bilateral with everybody. So during that bilateral, we will mention our country concern about the recent development, our relationship with US, especially with regards to tariff, all this kind of thing. But during the, what you call that, post-ministerial conference with US, we talk about South China Sea, we talk about how best that America can play their part in this part of the world, and to make sure that being what you call it, a superpower, they have to be very prudent in whatever they want to do in this part of the world. That's all. Yes, please. Ya, bangunlah. Bagi.
Assalamualaikum, Datuk Seri. Saya Lin from Bernama. Datuk Seri, in what ways can AMM serve as catalyst for advancing ASEAN economic integration and resilience amid geopolitical tensions, protectionism, and growing uncertainty surrounding US trade policies? And my second question is how influential are bilateral ties and meeting between ASEAN and major powers during AMM in shaping ASEAN collective geopolitical stance and long-term economic direction?
Panjangnya soalan. Soalan payah-payah, soalan pahal.
Thank you.
Tadi you kata apa tu? How IMM nombor satu. Tak dengar, tak berapa jelas sangat. Dia humming.
In what ways can AMM serve as catalyst for advancing?
Oh, AMM.
Yes, AMM.
As catalyst. AMM is AMM. This AMM is as I said just now, it's a prelude to this 47 summit. As every year is like that. Yeah. Whoever be the chairman, there will be 2 meetings for the foreign minister. One is retreat early of year. Then after that, after the first summit, there will be ASEAN foreign ministers, and also with dialogue partners and sectoral dialogue partners. And there we will prepare what will be discussed, what we want to achieve during the second summit by leaders or head of government or head of state. So we play an important part as AMM to chart and to navigate, also to, what do you call it, memandu kepada apa yang akan dibincangkan semasa persidangan kemuncak ketua-ketua negara apabila mereka bersidang awal pertengahan tahun dan juga pada hujung tahun. Soalan kedua?
Concern on US tariff, bagaimana AMM?
US tariff?
Ya, bagaimana AMM?
US tariff semua orang dapat surat masing-masing. So jadi kita sendiri-sendiri akan terpaksa membawa kita punya isu ke Amerika Syarikat. Dan Amerika Syarikat mengamalkan dia punya approach lah 2 hala. Dia tak mau berbagai hala. Dia tak mau sebagai blok. Dia nak satu-satu. Semalam semasa perundingan 2 hala dengan Sekretari Rubio, beliau ada menyatakan bahawa dia buat begitu, tulis surat sampai 1 Ogos tu supaya dia nak mengelakkan uncertainty. A lot of people, the market don't like uncertainty. So they said, okay, 1 Ogos. Lepas tu besok kita kena bincang dan kena negotiate lah, ataupun berunding. Macam negara kita akan berunding. Semalam selepas pertemuan dengan Rubio, maka Rubio dapat memberikan lampu hijau supaya Datuk Seri Zafrul menelpon rakan sejawatnya daripada Amerika, dan mereka akan berbincang, dan kita akan terus berbincang untuk kita pastikan kepentingan negara dapat diurus dengan baik. Ekspor negara kita ke US besar, dan 60% daripada ekspor kita ke US tersebut adalah dalam bentuk E&E, ya, iaitu electrical and electronic. Dan untuk ketika ini bahan-bahan itu masih lagi dikecualikan. Tapi untuk 1 Ogos nanti kita tak tahu apa, kan, masih perlu dirundingkan. Dia cakap 25% saja, tapi tak tahu apa yang 25%. Sama ada 25% tu apa yang telah dibuatkan ataupun kategori yang sama seperti apa yang diumumkan pada masa kita dikenakan 24% tersebut. Setiap negara kena berunding secara bersendirian. Vietnam dah lock in, dia dah dapat daripada 48, dia turun kepada 20. So dia dah lock dah. Ada banyak negara, UK for that matter. Saya berbincang dengan Secretary of State ataupun Setiausaha Negara UK, David Lammy, dia katakan UK pun dah lock in dia punya position. So nampaknya US lebih selesa untuk berunding secara dua hala. Ya, dan setiap negara akan perlu untuk berunding secara terus dengan Amerika, dan kita harap supaya kita pun akan dapat berunding dengan baik dan perkara-perkara yang perlu kita gundingkan dapat kita putuskan dengan segera. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih.
Hi, Dato' Sri Lenal from Free Malaysia Today. Malaysia and Indonesia previously have offered to facilitate Thailand and Cambodia border talks. Was that discussed during the ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting? And has there been any formal progress or engagement under ASEAN's framework?
Who offered to facilitate?
Malaysia and Indonesia.
Malaysia and Indonesia? I didn't come across that. Who offered that? We don't discuss anything during this AMM.
Previously, Prime Minister Dato' Sri Anwar did mention
that could be PM level lah. You ask me why? You ask. Not during this AMM, we don't discuss anything about it because that is their internal affairs. In ASEAN, our ASEAN Charter is not to interfere in internal affairs of countries.
Second question, you said elections in Myanmar can't happen without the right conditions. How is the humanitarian aid progressing, and is this helping open more dialogue with the junta?
Yeah. We're going to have an open dialogue. I might be visiting Naypyidaw sometime in September or early October. And our special envoys have a lot of meetings with stakeholders. They have met with everybody. Now, basically, we know what is the wish list of everybody, and majority of the wish list is basically they want the release of the political prisoner, ceasefire, and unhindered humanitarian aid. So that is 3 wish lists that in the wish list of every stakeholders, everybody, or every warring factor. So I think with that, I'm going to see my counterpart, and I will have a courtesy call with the Prime Minister SGMA to present it to him. This is what that we compiled so far with the stakeholders, and hopefully that from there we can come up with something positive for the sake of the Myanmar people.
Thank you, Dato' Sri.
Thank you.
Questions from that side?
Ya, kat belakang saya. Tu angkat tangan tu.
Virawan Jaitiem from the Asahi Shimbun, sir. His Excellency, could you please repeat and clarify us again about the Myanmar general election? You gave us the doorstep interview about the Myanmar general election is not priority. Could you explain on that? This is your...
election in Myanmar?
Yes, Myanmar general election is not priority. This is your opinion or is ASEAN consensus, sir? Thank you.
We are saying that it's not a priority at the moment. But if they can rope in, if they can invite everybody to participate, that's okay. But what is the point having an election, a partial election, and leaving behind those provinces and all this kind of thing? Only a partial of part of the Myanmar you hold an election, and just for the sake of telling the whole world, look, we have an election, then we are already a democratic government. That is not right. So our priority now is a 5-point consensus. Our priority now is ceasefire. Our priority now is everybody have to sit down and put their head together. Our priority now is 5-point consensus is all the humanitarian aid we reach to those people in need. And then special envoy, we played his part, and then dialogue between the SAC and all the stakeholders will take place, then only they will decide together whether or not they want to have an election. And if everybody agreed to have an election, why not? Who are we to stop them? But we are saying from here that no point having election if it is a partial election, not participated by everybody, only 2/4, 3/4 of, and then you sanction people, you cannot participate in election. That's not right. That's not the right thing to do. All right?
Maybe one or two last questions.
Tak dengar apa kata? Yeah, everybody was talking, saying that we don't agree. Election is not our priority. Our priority is 5-point consensus. Yeah. Lagi ada apa?
Maybe one last question, Datuk Seri.
Tak apalah, berapa question tak hantar dia lah dia.
Okay. Datuk Seri is so
Alang
sporting.
kepala aku dah lambat
Please ask
ni, hantar
questions.
kau lah.
Hi, Datuk Sri, Rashid from CNA. Just want to ask, how difficult is it being neutral, ASEAN?
Being neutral?
Yeah, how difficult is it to be neutral?
Being neutral is the best thing to do.
How difficult is it?
How difficult? Not difficult. I just say I don't want to say. You yourself, you talk lah. You go and smoke peace pipe. What is ASEAN got to do with this 3,000 miles issue? But ASEAN take position, especially on like issue like Gaza, on this what do you call it, attack on Iran. We take position on that because that is purely violation of human rights, violation of international law, and violation of the United Nations Charter. The rest, we said we don't want to interfere with anybody. Yeah. And so do that we expect people not to interfere in our internal affairs. So that is neutral, okay? It's not difficult if you are sincere, but if you're not sincere, then it's difficult. Yeah. But so far, Alhamdulillah, thank God, we are solid as big family of ASEAN, and that's why we can come up with any joint statement. Just now we come up with joint statement on Palestine, on Gaza. So there's no issue as a neutral party. Okay? Thank you. Ya, tu situ belakang tu yang pakai tudung. Bangunlah.
Ya, assalamualaikum.
Salam.
Tok Mat.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm still wondering about the level of human rights in ASEAN because kita lihat semua negara anggota mempunyai berbagai stage or level of human rights. So at one interview, the chairman of the ASEAN, Edmund Bond, his name, he said that they're going to have a template.
Okay.
Of this template will form a standardized kind of formula to solve or whatever, address the human rights. So maybe ASEAN human rights is, to some country is okay, to some country not too okay. So what is your comment as the chair for all the ministerial meeting here?
Kita, tu sebabnya kita ada AICHA. AICHA apa dia? Short form apa? ASEAN Intergovernmental Commission on Human Rights. Yes. Kita ada Komisen Suruhanjaya. Suruhanjaya Hak Asasi Manusia negara-negara ASEAN. Dan kita ada interface dengan dia. Setiap kali sebelum kita memulakan mesyuarat ASEAN, kita ada interface dengan AICHA. Setiap dia punya AICHA punya Suruhanjaya hak asasi manusia dia diwakilkan oleh setiap negara dan mereka akan membentangkan dia orang punya statement masing-masing dan kita minta supaya negara-negara ASEAN mengambil maklum dan mengambil tindakan lah laporan daripada Suruhanjaya ini. Dan itu hari kita punya meeting bermula dengan AICHA dulu pada 8 hari bulan petang, pukul 2:30 petang. Lepas tu baru Sean Fest. Jadi itu jadi amalan kita. Kerana kita mahu supaya kita banyak cakap orang pasal pelanggaran hak asasi manusia tapi kita tak mahu dituduh sebagai, I think kata kita ada double standard pula. Itu sebabnya kita sebulat suara. berkenaan dengan masalah human rights di Myanmar. Semua bersetuju sebulat suara mengatakan di Myanmar pelanggaran hak asasi manusia ni amat jelas dan perlu diberhentikan segera. Ya. So to your answer, kita tak uniform lah. Ya, sebab setiap negara ada dia punya benchmark, ada dia punya perlembagaan sendiri, kan? Dan ada dia punya komisen dia sendiri. Jadi setiap komisen itu, Suruhanjaya itu bertanggungjawab untuk mereka meneliti dan juga mereka untuk memberitahu dan menjelaskan kepada kerajaan masing-masing. Dan forumnya adalah setiap kali kita mesyuarat, AMMM, AICA punya representatif atau Pesuruhjaya hak asasi negara-negara tersebut akan membentangkan laporan masing-masing. Dan kita ada juga adoption, iaitu plan jangka 5 tahun yang dibentangkan oleh pengurusinya daripada Malaysia, Saudara Edmund Bong, memberikan bahawa ini dia action plan yang nak dilakukan selama 5 tahun untuk kita memperhalusi dan memperbaiki dan menambah nilai berkenaan dengan hak asasi di setiap negara di ASEAN. Tapi to have it uniform punya hak asasi tak boleh lah. Sebab negara dia berbeza-beza kan. Okey?
Datuk Seri.
Ya, dia katakan. Yes.
Siapa tadi?
Datuk Seri, saya nak tanya mengenai perbincangan CPEC tadi. Datuk Seri ada katakan few countries yang menyatakan sokongan kepada Palestin. Jadi mungkin boleh Datuk Seri detailkan sedikit mengenai apa bentuk sokongan dan juga bantuan yang CPEC akan bagi kepada Palestin nanti. Mungkin how soon akan dimulakan?
Kita ada joint statement yang kita telah keluarkan, tadi telah dipersetujui oleh semua negara. Kadang-kadang susah juga nak dapatkan joint statement dipersetujui oleh semua negara. Kerana ada ayat-ayat kadang-kadang tu ada yang tak selesa. Tapi Alhamdulillah, kali ini kita punya joint statement itu dipersetujui sebelah suara oleh semua negara-negara ASEAN. Dan kita ada plan hala tuju kita dan juga action plan kita untuk kita ambil tindakan. Seperti mana nasihat ataupun seruan daripada Yang Amat Berhormat Perdana Menteri semasa peresmian tempoh hari, enough of declaration, enough of joint communique, but action. Jadi kita nak buat itu dan kita telah ada kita punya rangka kerja untuk kita bersama-sama membantu. Tetapi perkara pokok yang pertama sekali adalah dia punya caveat, kita mesti ada apa orang kata gencatan senjata kekal di Gaza ataupun di Palestin, di kedua-dua tebing barat dan juga di Gaza. Kalau tak ada gencatan senjata yang kekal, kita tak boleh buat apa-apa. Ya. Jadi itu kita punya keputusan bersama-sama. Semua negara-negara dalam ASEAN telah pun menyatakan sokongan dan juga menyatakan ketegasan mereka untuk membantu, insyaAllah. Dalam bentuk apa? Macam-macam lah. Ya. Ada yang berbentuk untuk memberikan orang kata bantuan teknikal, ada yang berbentuk bantuan latihan, macam-macam lah. Mana yang mampu akan beri dalam bentuk kewangan kepada mereka, insyaAllah. Yes, yes sir.
From Prime Media World UK, Your Excellency. Assalamualaikum. The question is, there are two questions. One is about the tariffs. Because they have been putting tariffs on Vietnam is 20% and Malaysia is 25%. What tariffs are you looking at? How much discounts you can, a percentage you can get it down after talking with the US later on? And another one is when about the Gaza and Palestine, you know, everybody knows this is an occupied territory, what they are doing and whatever they're doing. But can we not send the aids, you know, through our military and, you know, access there, so that they won't be able to, you know, start anything against it?
You talk about tariff. I mentioned just now that each individual state will come up with their own plan and negotiate direct with the US. Because since now, I don't think that United States, in particular President Trump, they don't want block negotiation. So that's why they're sending letter to each individual countries. So do you have to, that letter is an invitation letter. They invite you to come and discuss, come and negotiate. And as what Secretary Rubio mentioned yesterday, he said that it's not tantamount to, we just shut the door completely, just open. But they want certainty because market don't like uncertainty. So the certainty, okay, 1st August, 25%. So we have to quickly come up with whatever negotiation tactic or whatever sectors that we want to negotiate with the US. We have to come up, we have to negotiate with them as soon as possible. Number two, you were saying just now, Gaza, what Gaza?
Yeah, about the aid through Malaysia or other countries. You know, this is very urgently required.
Yeah, we are just sending, just now I pledged additional $1 million over and above 23 million we have disbursed for the last 1.5 years.
But the thing is, the aids are not reaching there for the food and everything, for the and the medical supplies and everything.
That we give it to UNRWA, we give it to the Palestinian Red Crescent. Okay, we don't give to individual, we give to anybody. So the two organizations that we give, we split into two, maybe 500,000 US each. To UNRWA. UNRWA is proven, is an organization that is supporting the lifeblood of Palestine, and also to the Palestinian Red Crescent. Okay? All right. We don't give it to you, please.
Okay. Thank you.
Datuk Sri.
Okay. Yes, please. Dah tanya 2 kali, bagi orang lain pula. No, I think you only one.
Somebody else, please.
Somebody, get someone else. Let's give a chance.
May I ask just one question, please?
One.
One question.
After this, you said one. After that, one.
Really important, sir, this one.
What?
About ASEAN nuclear free zone.
What's that?
Senfen.
Sunfest?
Yeah, Sunfest.
Sunfest, why?
ASEAN nuclear free zone, sir.
Can you please repeat your question louder because Minister cannot hear you.
Okay. I would like to know about China's readiness.
Yeah, China is ready.
And would like to know when, sir.
When?
Yeah.
Your documentation, you have to documentation takes some time.
Thank you.
But the fact that in principle China has already pledged that they will join the protocol without reservation. Because we have already decided among all ASEAN countries, those who want to join the protocol, the treaty, they have to sign without reservation. China has already pledged, yes, we will, and we will. Then now is up to the documentation process, yeah? All right? Ada lagi? Tak ada, syukur alhamdulillah. Ada?
Terima kasih banyak, Datuk Sri.
Tak ada apa. Kalau tak ada apa-apa, terima kasih banyak. Saya bagi pihak Kerajaan Malaysia, khususnya Kementerian Luar Negeri, mengucapkan banyak-banyak terima kasih kepada tim media dan juga press family. Ya. Terima kasih. Lepas ni jemput makan. Kalau ada lagi lah, kalau tak ada, pergi makan sendirilah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much.
Media friends, join me to give a round of applause to Datuk Sri for his energy and leadership.